Take a piece of fabric and fold the piece of fabric, and the width of this fold should be little more than the width of the pattern that you made for neckline facing with self faced placket. So you're going to cut this piece in two parts. So this is the extension of the button stand and placket facing, inclusive of the neckline facing. But as you can see here, this is the fold line, but the pattern is little away from the fold line because this center front part is having a opening in center front, and you will be making buttons here. Okay, so even though you folded the fabric, none of the pattern here is kept on fold. So this piece will be cut in two pieces, one for left hand side and another piece for right hand side of the body. Now you have to add seam allowances. So I'm going to write down the values of seam allowances. Neck is 0.5, armhole is 1, waistline is 1.5, side seam is 1.5, shoulder is 1.5 centimeter seam allowances. Okay, now according to this, you have to start adding the seam allowances. So before you add the seam allowance, you have to draw the outline of the pattern on the fabric, including the outline of the dart. Okay, so once you do this, you have to add the seam allowance like this. 1.5 on shoulder, zero point 0.5 on neckline, 1.5 on shoulder, 1 centimeter on the armhole, 1.5 on the side seam. And this dart, if you want to mark and stitch, you can mark and stitch, otherwise you can leave it plain, because now we are not bothered with the dart. Okay, you're learning how to finish the neckline, but if you want your samples to look good, then you can stitch off the dart as well. So down you're adding 1.5 seam allowance, and here nothing. Okay, because already this came with extension, lot of extension, so here you don't have to add anything. Okay, so now you have to mark the outline of the pattern, and on this fabric, just before removing the pattern, you have to put one notch mark here near the actual center front. You have to put one notch mark. and near this you have to put one notch mark near the button stand extension just before removing the pattern. Okay, so put notch marks at CF and button stand point. Add seam allowances and cut around the pattern as per allowance, and then you have to put the tailor chalk mark strongly, dust the mark on the other half of the fabric. Okay, so when you do this, you have two pieces ready. Okay, so these two pieces will look like this. Okay, see now you have two pieces like this, and you have the seam allowances also marked on the fabric. So one is the left half, the other one is the right half. Okay, so this dart, if you want, you can stitch or you can just leave it as it is. Okay, now assuming that, okay, I'll just, in this you don't have these marks seen clearly, it's just a notch mark like this, short notch mark. So this also, it is appearing more like a notch mark. It's appearing more like a notch mark. Okay, and assuming that you can see the correct side of the pattern fabric.